it going, guys? Kris here with another Battlefield 5 gun guide for you today, and in this one we're going to be checking out the MP34, yet another German submachine gun for the medic class, made available at medic rank 13. Heavily inspired by the World War I era MP18, the MP34 is often considered to be one of the highest quality weapons around during the time of its creation. It was designed secretly behind the scenes in 1929 after the German company Rheinmetall acquired the Solothurn factory in Switzerland to essentially sidestep the restrictions caused by the Treaty of Versailles, prohibiting the Germans from developing such weapons. A prototype was made, but the factory wasn't suited for mass production of the gun, so Rheinmetall had to buy a controlling interest in the Austrian weapons manufacturer Steyr, which went on to produce the MP34 for both commercial and military markets, adopted natively by the Austrian army while also being sold overseas in a variety of different calibers. Because the MP34 was made to such a high standard, practically being a work of art as far as gun craftsmanship is concerned, this made it a very expensive thing to produce, which in the end turned out to be the weapon's main downfall, especially during the time of the Second World War, where demand for such weapons was extremely high, and the cost for said weapons would have been a very important factor. By 1940, there were far cheaper alternatives available, such as the MP40, and so despite being a really fancy SMG, the MP34's production came to an end, not really seeing much combat service despite in the hands of some SS units during the earlier stages of the war. Now taking a look at all the in-game stats next, the MP34's actually got a slightly different damage model than the other SMGs, dealing the same 25 maximum damage up to 10 meters, but dropping down to a slightly higher minimum damage of 13 at 75 meters and beyond, essentially letting the gun deal one extra damage point per bullet than most of the others over longer ranges. This might not exactly sound like a brilliant advantage, but it does let the MP34 kill in one less shot beyond 75 meters, and generally gives it a bit more usability over distance, still taking players down in 4 shots up close like the others, but only requiring 8 at most, instead of 9. Also a nice even figure for when you're landing headshots too, with the damage being doubled, equating to a 4-hit kill over longer ranges, which can drastically cut down those kill times compared to the MP34's alternatives. Of course, fire rate definitely isn't anything to get excited about, only reaching the speed of 514 RPM, making it one of the slowest shooting weapons in the game. So it's going to put you at a pretty big disadvantage in close quarters, being outclassed by a lot of other guns. Though to put it a bit more in line with some of the others, the MP34 does have access to the light bolt spec, increasing its fire rate to 600 RPM, making it slightly more aggressive and able to compete in shorter range fights. Having a fire rate that can be quite easy to moderate is a pretty good thing for the MP34's stability and general precision, but having a fairly decent recoil pattern is something else that's going to complement that quite a lot too. It's not got the lowest figures in the class, having an upwards kick value of 0.5, along with left and rightwards values of 0.16. But none of these are particularly high or really going to cause you any problems while aiming and shooting, being stats that are actually better than average, which is going to go hand in hand with the gun's stronger power over range. Should you choose to equip the ported barrel, you'll be able to reduce the gun's horizontal recoil down to just 0.085, matching up to the base ZK383, giving the weapon a very high level of accuracy. And to make the MP34 even more precise, which is going to benefit its performance over distance, the gun's also got one of the quickest bullet speeds of all the SMGs too, having a muzzle velocity of 495 meters per second, which can be bumped up even further to 560 meters per second if you pick the high velocity bullet specialization. These are all factors that are actually going to make the MP34 a bit more useful over medium ranges, where many of the other SMGs would struggle to land shots on target consistently, overall helping to give the MP34 more versatility by increasing its effectiveness over a wider range span. With a standard magazine size of just 20 rounds, the MP34 doesn't exactly hold all that much ammo, easily being one of its main drawbacks, which can often limit how many enemies you'll be able to take on before you'll need to reload. I guess this is another thing that goes against its general usability in close quarters, with the weapon running out of ammo quite a lot, often in the middle of gunfights with other players, and so it's more prone to putting you in awkward situations when there's too many enemies around for you to be able to handle. This small mag issue can be countered by equipping the extended magazine, jumping your ammo capacity up to a much more sufficient 32 rounds, putting it on par with a lot of the other SMGs. And with it firing at that more controllable rate of 514 RPM, these magazines should seem quite easy to manage, especially with less bullets straying off target due to the gun's higher overall precision. Something that's going to come in handy if you plan on gunning down players over range, with more shots being required to kill here. Reload times aren't really all that great, being very similar to the Type 100s, having a tactical reload speed of 2.4 seconds and an empty one taking 3.35 seconds, with both of these times being the same for both magazine options. Perhaps slightly slower than average in comparison to the other SMGs, but nothing that's really going to cause too many issues overall. Taking a look at the specializations next, at the top of the MP34's list, you'll be able to find both quick aim and high velocity bullets, either increasing aim down sight speed or making those bullets fly a little bit faster through the air. With the MP34 having more factors to benefit mid-range use than most of the other SMGs, I tend to prefer giving those bullets a bit more velocity, helping to enhance its ease of use here. Its bullet speed still won't be able to match up to a lot of the other guns in other classes, but it'll still make leading targets over range slightly easier to do, should the weapon need to be used against someone further away. Next up, we've got the enhanced grips and polished action on the left side, increasing the fire rate, tightening up the hip fire spread, and generally making the gun a bit more aggressive. Though on the right side, we've got the ported barrel and the extended magazine, increasing accuracy while giving you more ammo per mag. This one mainly comes down to playstyle and how you like to use the weapon, though because its kill times are often outclassed by most of the other guns in the game, I normally prefer to sacrifice those bigger magazines by running down the left side, to give the MP34 a bit more of an edge in gunfights. And lastly, you'll be able to find the bayonet and barrel bedding options at the bottom. The bayonet might be useful for when you run out of ammo with the gun's smaller magazines, though light and stock is probably going to be the better choice overall by being less situational, helping to boost precision while standing still by lowering spread. So in conclusion, the MP34 has a lot of stats to give it a distinct advantage over most of the other submachine guns when dealing with players further away, while generally limiting its effectiveness up close, where these kind of weapons are normally best suited. The combination of a slower fire rate, higher range damage, low recoil values, and quicker bullet speeds than average generally makes the gun better suited for taking on players over those medium distances, while that lazy rate of fire often hinders its effectiveness up close, made even worse by having some lackluster reliability factors such as a small standard magazine along with some longer than average reload times. But this doesn't necessarily mean that you should be trying to take on every enemy in the distance, as although it can perform better than most of the other SMGs here, it's still not exactly a fantastic weapon for long-ranged engagements in the grand scheme of things. It just means that it's probably going to be better suited for those kind of fights than most of the other submachine guns, generally making it a bit more flexible and able to adapt to different situations on the go better, especially when you can catch your targets off guard unaware of your position. Specializations can play a large role in adjusting the weapon to better fit your playstyle, though it's still generally going to be more of a defensive SMG overall, and one that's typically going to perform at its best over early mid distances. Though whatever you pick, the MP34 is still one of the more versatile weapons in the class, capable of taking on players over a variety of different ranges. So that's it for another one, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Give me a like if you did, and that'd be much appreciated, and make sure you subscribe if you want to see plenty more. Thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you in that next one.